Life. Starting over 1 billion years ago, changing and adapting in order to survive the most unforgiving environments on Earth. We have gone from scavengers to hunters and nurturers to rulers. Everything we've done up to this point has allowed us to survive the harsh realities of life. We have learned to coexist with animals and separate tribes from our own. The power of a male and female relationship can be felt throughout the animal kingdom, from bears to lions and lionesses to humans. So, why is the tension between man and woman increasing every day? And why is that which is instinctive in a man being attacked? So, what is masculinity? According to Google, masculinity is defined as qualities or attributes regarded as characteristics of men. These attributes can include strength, courage, independence, leadership, and assertiveness. Now, I know what you're thinking. Women have those qualities too. That's exactly my point. Masculinity in its purest form is a beautiful thing. It's just when there's too much or too little of it, things can get dangerous. Let's start off with the Trojan War. According to legend, the Trojan War was fought between the Greeks and the Trojans after Paris, son of the Trojan king, and Helen, wife of the Greek king Menelaus, went off together to Troy. In order to get her back, Menelaus got help from his brother Agamemnon, who assembled a Greek army to defeat Troy. I'm sure we all know how this famous story goes. Giving an appearance of retreat, the Greeks left a large wooden horse on a Trojan beach and pretended to sail home. The Trojans brought the horse within their walls, and the Greeks attacked successfully, given that the Trojans' guards were down. This story is an example of the thinking brain of men. Over the years, the strategy has been used in countless attack methods and also in various industries other than war. This shows that the positive traits of masculinity can transcend an era. Next, we have the Mongols. Headed by Ghenghis Khan, they attacked defenseless cities, killed thousands of people, and made piles of their skulls. They also destroyed the irrigation system of Asia and evidently left it a desert. This is an example of masculinity where there is brain and brawn, but a massive lack of empathy for human beings. This is one example where one can take positive qualities of masculinity and use it for evil. Lastly, we have the World Wars. The World Wars, specifically World War II, was fought to prevent a tyrannical government from taking over a large part of the world. Though it procured nearly 50 million casualties, the silver lining was that it produced many wonderful inventions. The satellite was invented using German technology created to guide the V-2 rocket. The ballpoint pen was invented by Laszlo Biro around 1938 when he became frustrated with the fountain pen's tendency to smudge. You can find a whole list of cool inventions on Find My Past. Not only did the ingenuity of men help create tools for winning crucial wars, through that dire need for the thinking brain, many inventions that we use today have been birthed. That ingenuity and desire to prevail were all characteristics of the masculine men of that era. Because of the peace we experience nowadays, the need for these characteristics seem to be dwindling away slowly. According to a dietitian on healthline.com, one study in 35 men found that drinking soy protein isolate for 54 days resulted in decreased levels of testosterone. The reason why this should not be taken lightly is because testosterone is crucial in a boy's development. Testosterone pushes men to fight for their country and defend the vulnerable from dangerous people and things. Some may believe that we should not worry about lower testosterone levels because there might not be a grand need to fight physical wars in the future. but a failure to plan may be a plan for failure. Testosterone is not only needed in this aspect, however. A lack of testosterone can result in increased body fat, decreased strength and muscle mass, less body hair, and increased fatigue, just to name a few. When a boy realizes he can't get a date or isn't very respected, this can have harmful psychological effects that can sometimes be fatal.
The soy sauce. Okay, put out your hand.
Next, we have veganism. And to my surprise, studies show that there is no correlation of veganism with a drop in testosterone levels. There are many pros and cons to veganism. However, that is not the point of this discussion. The vegan movement has been tainted by highly obnoxious representatives that I'm sure are not the face of the movement. I understand that those who have health risks can greatly benefit from the diet. However, to say all meat is bad isn't true. Some vegans may say that all of them aren't like that, and I believe them. But based on the accounts of people coming in contact with radical vegans, it is hard not to make assumptions. For example, I have never seen snow, but from what I see and hear about people's experiences in the media, I can conclude that it is a joyous and wonderful thing. So, if all people see is negative, then it will be hard to draw a positive conclusion about said thing. I just think that people want to live their lives and not be ostracized by anyone for their personal decisions. The feminist movement, the first wave, began in 1848 and was dominated by women's suffrage, or their right to vote. Even Frederick Douglass advocated for this, as he thought it wouldn't be fair if he had the right to vote but women didn't. Women's suffrage was first passed in New Zealand in 1893, and the United States would apply the amendment in 1920. In second wave feminism, Gloria Steinem's Miss Magazine was the first magazine to have feminism as a subject on its cover in 1976. 4 years earlier, Congress passed the Equal Rights Amendment that would support equality for women and stop discrimination based on sex. A woman's right for abortion would be ruled 1 year later. Now comes third wave feminism. Third wave feminists felt like the work of second wave feminism was unfinished. This wave is where the real challenging of gender normality came about, pushing for daughters to be empowered, high-achieving, and articulate. They also wanted to give new outlooks on the ideas of gender, sexuality, femininity, and masculinity. Third wave feminism has faced many criticisms over the years, stating that the movement had lived beyond its usefulness, and its multi-vocality, or many different meanings of feminism, is its greatest weakness. Some say that it has paved way to the consensus that toxic masculinity exists. I disagree that feminism is no longer useful, as there are many things, such as prices of feminine products, that should be reduced. However, there is a disconnect when masculinity itself is a target of attack. We see this in the viral Gillette commercial that addressed actions of men, such as grilling, approaching women, and young boys fighting. The problem that many people had with this commercial was that these things are natural for a boy's development. Allowing young boys to be a little rough is what helps them to grow backbone and not be afraid to defend himself or his loved ones when he is older. Approaching women is how the human race survives, as more men tend to approach the opposite gender than women. To say that all these actions are bad is to say that only the actions of one gender are appropriate, which would be highly scrutinized if it were the other way around.
You cited freedom of speech in that. Why should your right to freedom of speech trump a trans person's right not to be offended?
Because in order to be able to think, you have to risk being offensive.
I'm sure if you're a guy or a girl that is frequently on YouTube, You know who Jordan Peterson is. Jordan Peterson has helped many young men to find their masculinity and become better versions of themselves, but he has faced great scrutiny from women and trans rights activists for being, quote, misogynistic. I am sure this is not the case, considering the state of men and boys today. Many men feel that they have no purpose and are just seeking life advice so they can make something of themselves, and Jordan Peterson's advice helps them find that purpose. However, because he presents masculine traits such as assertiveness and somewhat stoicism in his conversations, he is looked at as a threat to those who seek to alter modern gender norms.
Equality for women then, and to stick with specifics, why do you argue that society today has been overly and dangerously feminized?
Well, because I see a backlash against masculinity and a sense that there's something toxic about
but
masculinity.
What is this idea of being
such.
over? Why is society overly feminized?
Well, I didn't ever say that society was overly feminized. So if we're going to discuss my views, we should use my actual words. I believe that there's a danger in our society at the moment of making the assumption that our culture, for example, is a tyrannical patriarchy, which it is in some small part, and that any active engagement on the part of young men in particular is indistinguishable from an unacceptable power and dominance drive, which I don't believe.
But surely
I think all of that is inappropriate and incorrect.
Straight white males have recently been taking the brunt of all grievances from every creed and color. Because of events such as slavery, colonizing, and ridicule of women in the past, it seems as though every frustration of the affected groups is being hurled at them in recent times. I think we can all agree that the crimes committed by men hundreds of years ago were atrocious and should not be celebrated. However, it's called history because it was in the past. Yes, many inventions may have come from sinister and nefarious methods used back then, but to deny the increase of the overall quality of life today would be asinine. Unfortunately, members of this gender and race cannot speak out because they would receive shame from their opposers and be called racist and misogynistic. Now, this may have to be a whole video on its own, but somehow gaming has gotten its fair share of scrutiny over the past years. Now, I won't mention the person's name, but I can remember that this was one of the first times video games have been seen as more than just fun and entertainment. It can now be seen as a platform for sexism and anti-progressivism. I am pretty sure that all gamers can agree that it doesn't go any deeper than the game itself, and that people just want something to take their mind off the struggles they may be experiencing in their daily lives. So, what is the point of all this? Well, my gut tells me that society is trying to make men weak so that another power can take over. They feel that men have been too strong for too long, and that the world can benefit from more femininity. There's nothing wrong with femininity, as throughout history, where there has been a masculine, there's been a feminine. That balance is what keeps order in the cycle we call living.
At the end of the day, attempting to destroy the characteristics that underpin masculinity has not helped us. Rather, if we're being honest, it's hindered us.
What that means is that the ideal that man could aspire to is denigrated. And, well, then, with your ideal in tatters, you're weak. That's definitional.
Men are scared. They don't want to be labelled as a sexist or a homophobe or a transphobe. They don't want to lose their jobs or their living or their family because of it. They don't want to be called out on social media for things that they don't even really believe. That is where this fear comes from.
Why? Because bad men don't become good when they stop being men. They become good when they stop being bad.
This is my message to you, men. You have muscles to overpower any tyrant. You have intellect to outsmart any trickster. You have empathy to help and protect the weak and vulnerable. And you have the courage to stand up for what's right. Don't neglect your masculinity, but learn to use it for good. You are the last thing standing between peace and a dystopian world. So stand up and fight till your last breath, because that truly is what masculinity is all about.
Because you need to thank toxic masculinity for all the bridges, all the jets, all the rockets, all this toxic masculinity. If you break down all the things that men have invented, and all these toxic men have prevented like you from being murdered in war and protected the country and all the different things that you could attribute to toxic masculinity, most of it's positive.
Pick up the world on your shoulders and walk forward. Pick up the world with all of its trouble, with all of its suffering, with all of its evil, and move forward with it.
We need masculine men.
The answer to toxic masculinity isn't less masculinity. It's better masculinity.
This is not a bad thing. Male does not equal evil. Just because there are evil men, they are evil men. Doesn't mean all men are evil. There's evil women too. Doesn't mean all women are evil.